but it's also tremendously exciting because you talk about live by faith. I think I am now living more by faith than I ever did as a priest. And I don't know where the wind's going to blow. This book, the Blue Raven book, I'm exploring. In fact, I've got about 25 other people who I found all over the world who've been through similar things to me, who are all contributing a passage to the book. These are all people who began as Christians, and some would say they're still Christians, but all of them have ended up more kind of within the Druidic community. They found the openness and the earth-based emphasis, and the fact that the positive approach of the neo-pagan and Druid vision of life, totally overwhelming. And so, as I say, a lot of them would say they're still Christian as well. Some have moved beyond that, but still have a value for Jesus. And I'm just seeing where all that goes.
Yeah.
I find it really exciting.
Yeah. One thing that I picked up on the notes that you sent me before the interview was that you are quite a fan of the Enneagram system of classification of personalities, and just to explain to people, there's 9 different personality types, and we all primarily fit into one type, although we all have aspects of all types. And you're the number 4 in the Enneagram.
Yeah, I'm an extreme 4.
Do you want to explain what extreme 4?
I do a trick based on the Enneagram now.
Have we got time to do that now?
I could. Should I just say a bit about 4?
Give it some background first, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an expert. I love the Enneagram. Some people watching this might be familiar with the Myers-Briggs test, personality type indicator. It's in a way similar, but what I love about the Enneagram is it kind of, typically for me, I guess, it starts off with a little bit of a negative. Once you find your place within the 9 types, you kind of, it starts talking about your compulsions, the things that you really find difficult about life. And it's easier, I think, to find your place within it when you come from that angle. But then it gives you these amazing tools. Not only does it give you a very broad kind of window into your own character, and again, nobody would say base your life on this, it's just a guide. So once you find your window, your mirror to yourself, you can then you can watch, what happens to yourself when you get maybe overstressed or kind of disorientated or whatever, and you can watch on the diagram itself whether you're going to a certain. I mean, I am a 4, and at my best I go to 1, which means that I kind of get outward focused.
But you need to explain what a 4 is, Mark.
Sorry, yeah, okay. A 4 is, they call it the tragic romantic in some systems, or the artist in others. The number 4 is a character who is a sort of dreamy, very emotional, quite artistic, creative person who experiences life through feelings and through a lot of drama, who usually gets trapped in either the past or the future, and therefore finds it very difficult to be present. There's also a thing about the 4, we feel very, sometimes very alone because we're not understood, and nobody really, if only people would understand how we feel, how deeply our feelings are. We can get very melancholy and quite childish, to be honest. And what happens with this system of arrows, I mean, I think I would suggest people look it up on Google, Enneagram, and have a good look at what they say to otherwise it won't make much sense what I'm saying. But I go to a number 2, which is called the helper, and I go to the negative side of the number 2 when I get knocked out of sync, and it can make me quite, quite dark, really, quite kind of all over.
My wife's a number 2. I know about the number 2s. Yeah.
I can get all over the place. So what I need to do is watch that happening. See, the worst thing a 4 can do is kind of go away and think about it, because that's almost always what we're doing, and you get so self-absorbed. So what I need to do is go to number 1, which is actually literally go outside and maybe go and do something good for somebody. Go and be of some value out there. Now, I'm not an expert at the Enneagram at all. I just find the little knowledge that I have very helpful. You know, I can almost see it happening.
Anyway, let's have a look at the Enneagram trick. I'm fascinated by that.
Well, this
Do I need to clear these out of the way?
Let's just move those out of the way.
Yeah, okay.
I've got another deck of cards here. Now, the reason I've got another deck of cards will become apparent in a moment. I won't open them just yet. First of all, I just want to think of, what should we say? Well, my name's Mark. That's quite a common name. Your name's Iain, and that's with, in fact, 4 letters, because you're a 4-lettered Iain.
I have the Scottish spelling, I-A-I-N, yes.
Well, that's a rarer name. But another quite a common name is Phil. Do you know someone called Phil?
Yes.
Can you think, how close is Phil to you?
Well, the first person that came to mind isn't that close, but I've known him a long time, and somehow there's a connection with Phil.
Oh, okay, well, that's even better. Right, Phil, let's go with Phil then. First of all, we'll use 2 different systems. We'll use the Jungian system, which I mentioned, the Myers-Briggs, and I'm just going to explain. You've got basically 4 types of person. You've got a sensing person, a thinking person, an intuitive, or a feeling. And all of us have all of those attributes within us, but normally one of them is more dominant. And they relate, believe it or not, to the 4 suits. A diamond comes from the ground. We dig diamonds up. So a diamond is clearly an earth suit, and therefore related to sensation. All right.
Right.
The club, they in some decks of cards are called batons or wands, and they're what we normally associate with creativity. So that's intuition, right? So we've got, and creativity is fire. So we've got earth and sensation. We've got fire. I'll just move these across. We've got fire and the imagination or creativity or intuition. We've got the spade, which it looks a little bit like a sword, and you can cut through air, so it's related to the element of air, and the Jungian attribute of the mind, so thinking, intuition, sensing, and then of course hearts. It's clear what that is, it's feeling. Hearts are here feeling based, so feeling, sensing, intuiting, thinking. Which one of those would you associate with Phil? Okay, so he's a head-based kind of thinking person, intellectual. Fine, okay, so he's going to be a spade. Now, you could go for the Jack of Spades, depends what age is, or King of Spades, but let's make it more interesting. With the Enneagram, Ace and 10 we'll both see as the number 1, the perfectionist, all right, and you can choose either. So it could be a number 1, which is a perfectionist, number 2, which is a helper, number 3, which is the achiever, number 4, the tragic romantic, 5 is an observer, 6 they normally call loyalist, 7 a kind of party animal, 8 the asserter, or 9 the peacemaker. Yeah. Does one of those stand out at all?
Well, you see, I don't know him that well. It's the first one that came to mind. I would say he could be a peacemaker, yeah.
Which is 9?
Yes.
Oh, right, well, that is the 9 of
Yeah,
spades.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, fine, let's just see. I mean, again, this is all very rushed, really, but the reason I like this particular deck of cards is they've all got names. You see, you've got Greg, Jake, Dick, Jean, Alan, Bud, Dave, Vic, Len, Des, Paul, Jim, Lisa, Rick, Jill, Mike, Trev, Sam, Don, Ruth, it goes on, Mona, Alec, Buck, Sven, Rose, Jane, all the way through. We've got different...
Phil's in there, is he?
Somewhere, Phil is in there.
Yeah.
Now, on the top, you said the 9 of spades, didn't you?
That's a good trick.
It's a good trick.
That's a very good trick. I've no idea how you did that.
It's a good trick, and it's another way to... you should never, of course, tell people what their personality type is. But what I like to do with that is have a bit of fun with these 2 types of personality tests, and then say to people, why don't you go home and check them out? Because I think they're really helpful tools. Write them down on a piece of paper for someone, and they can do a Google search and do a free test on the internet. So
absolutely.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.